Greetings from File IO Central. What's your pleasure? Starting something new or carrying on something old?
Well, hey there everybody, it's my pleasure to bring you this brand new LP of 9 Last Resort. We don't get a whole lot of backstory as we head into this rather little known adventure game, but we have just inherited this Last Resort from our uncle. Pretty nice place, I think. Or it's a rather odd place, to say the least. But we'll be learning more about the decor and the interior as we progress through. First things first, though, we do need to head inside. And to do that, we have to deal with the game's copy protection, which involves a code that came with the game.
Yeah? What do you want?
Now, this code was in the form of a will, basically telling us that we had just inherited this place.
You're who? Yeah, and I'm the prom queen and there's 7 dwarves!
And we'll be learning more about this gentleman yelling at us through the door.
Look, kid, orders are nobody gets in. If you're for real, welcome to the last resort. Name's Salty. I run the place. What's left of it. Give me a moment while I go hunt up your red carpet. Or at least flip on the damn lights.
Now you may be able to recognize the voice actor of Salty, that is James Belushi, the less funny brother of the Belushis, I'd say.
You are the interloper in our dwelling. Comprehend?
And those two rather menacing worm entities are the Toxic Twins, voiced by Joe Perry and Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. But it's good to have a look around our surroundings, such as this gentleman, who is our uncle, Thurston Last, which I think is supposed to be a play on words to say first and last. This is, well, don't actually know what the hell that is. There's a lot of odd imagery and symbolism, things like that, throughout the course of the game. Some of it may have a deeper meaning, and some of it just may be really weird shit. But there's not too much in this little parlor, so let's go ahead and make our way inside.
My legacy has crossed paths with the twins once too often. We cannot lose the new generation. With my monocle, you'll be able to see beyond this house into the primal soup of man's imagination.
That certainly sounds like something we should be involved in, so let's go ahead and grab this monocle.
We are compelled to remove that from your grasp. Quick, quick, quick! Divest the hairy carrion of their game! Wrench their contemptible hindquarters for bloody good measure!
Yeah, for those who didn't know, Steven Tyler is probably a descendant of Dr. Seuss.
That, mon ami, was your royal welcome from the Toxic Twins. Nothing about them a blood change and a personality transfusion wouldn't fix.
Yeah, Salty pointed out the Toxic Twins are not the nicest of entities in this very garish and, well, in my opinion, rather ugly looking last resort. But they did take that monocle, so I guess we should start looking around to see if we can't get our bearings. So let's go over here and check out the Tiki Room. Guess we can't go in there just yet, so why don't we try up this staircase? Nope, it seems we can't go upstairs yet due to this conveyor belt going in the opposing direction. But there's another portrait here of Thurston Last. And we can actually interact with it, and behind the picture is part of a larger puzzle. This is actually part of a guitar. We'll be needing to remember that for later on. There's a lot of puzzle pieces and different things like that really situated in different parts of this entire place, so it's usually good to keep track of every little thing because at some point you will need it. But our first point that we're going to want to reach is this organ here in the center. First thing we have to do, though, is, well, power it up. Which is what this large furnace is going to be for. For that, though, there's some rather interesting tracks along the wall here, or albums. Clone babies. And songs about pencils sung by cats. It's the 90s. Painfully the 90s. And panty slice. Sure. But you may notice in particular about Panty Slice, as opposed to the other two records, is that they're actually missing the record.
Get back over here, I'm talking!
Thankfully, this is probably one of the easier puzzles, as the record is pretty close to being nearby.
Has it yet come to pass that you understand to leave others' belongings lie? Till informed to the contrary?
But throughout the course of the game, we'll be finding out more and more that the Toxic Twins have a very constant want to steal very important items to us, but thankfully we can get them back. And rather easily, this puzzle is solved. Allowing us to turn on the fuel for the furnace. And hopefully trying to ignore Salty.
Bet you inherited a Hey kid, get back over here, I'm talking!
He's supposed to offer us helpful advice, but more often than not he just yells at us and says the same three or four sound bites over and over again. But first thing we have to do is fill this up with water. Then, after the water is filled up, we turn on the heat to get some steam going. And whenever the steam reaches up to 7, we just have to pull the red lever. And we'll be good. And by that sound of an organ and, I'm guessing, a rather ecstatic monkey, we're supposed to draw the conclusion that the organ is now powered up. The only other problem is the fact that there is, well, a small moat blocking our way to the organ itself. Thankfully, that's another easy to solve puzzle. By pulling this lever, we can get some water flowing, and after we have enough water flowing, we can now observe that the water wheel is in motion. which is now allowing a small amount of power to the lever that's in front of the moat and the organ. Fairly easy to figure out, and this organ is going to be very important to us in the future, and, well... We'll try to keep looking at that monkey to a minimum, to say the least. But let's first look at this Fun with Music sheet to get this jumble of symbols and keys and all this mess. This is all going to be very important for pretty much the last puzzle in the game. For right now, though, it's pretty simple. All we have to do is play these two combinations of 4 symbols in the correct order. It's fairly easy to do if you've harnessed the power of print screen and MS Paint. And by the sound of that drums, that signifies that we did it correctly. And if you can draw some illusion and poke a dog skeleton, then you can maybe assume that with those tribal drums that the tiki room over here is now open to us. How nice of him. But yeah, this is pretty much the percussion room of the Last Resort. Lots of tribal images and, you know, just general kookiness that pretty much is the entirety of the game. And mild racism.
Who are you, Babylon man? I no talk to a man that has no rhythm.
Ja, right? Mon? I don't know. But we have another puzzle to deal with right now, involving these masks.
I'm not done talking to you here!
Isn't that a lovely, lovely sound? But, yeah, we can shift these masks around from left to right, and what we need to do is actually match up similar features on these masks, such as the eyes in between these 2 masks, or the teeth in between these masks. It's a fairly easy puzzle to solve. It's just actually trying to figure out and sometimes see the harder to notice features of the mask, such as that little sprig of hair, can be a bit annoying. Not to mention those god-awful noises they make, but by solving that, we get a combination of masks and colors, and we'll be needing to remember that for fairly soon. Fairly soon. We'll be needing that for the next room coming up. And in this lovely art gallery are a number of very interesting pieces. But I'm not really digging this laughter, and there's a good way to solve that. This is supposed to be something akin to a jukebox. And as you can see, there are a collection of colored buttons and buttons with masks on them. And we just need to enter in the code that we got from the previous puzzle. And by entering this combination, we can thankfully stop this maniacal laughter and replace it with a broken LP. Oh, we broke it. Thankfully, we were wanting to do that, not only to stop that repetitive laugh track, but also to get this cog. Now, it may not be too obvious what we need to do with this cog, but if you look at the cover of that jukebox, there was a heart on it. It's beautiful. And if you remember in the main lobby, there was actually a very large pillar with a heart on it. And that's actually where we are wanting to use this cog. But to get to it is a bit confusing. What we first need to do is head back up these red stairs. And you can kind of see it right now, but there is a little ladder off to the side. You may not realize that's there, or how you're actually supposed to get over to this pillar, but this is how you do it, and got a nice big panel here to open up. Yet another puzzle without a very obvious solution, but a fairly easy solution. What we need to do is move these the bottom one twice, and this one on the left twice. And then just place our cog in the center. That way all the cogs are now connected. Setting that large freakish clock into motion, and that also allows us access to the second floor. For right now though, since we are running a bit long, I figure it's good to show what our actual purpose is with, basically looking around this entire resort. To do that, it's going to require going up onto this balcony here and solving possibly the most annoying puzzle of the game. So we have a very large selection of cubes, and by clicking on one of them, we get a particular sound. Now, each one of these cubes, each one of these cubes, I'd say, has a different sound, but it has another cube that has a matching sound. So it's more or less a matching game, but the thing is, each time you start up a new game, it's randomized. So there's not a set solution every time you start. So let's go ahead and skip to 15 minutes later and just not have you watch me have a horrible memory. So we now have access to a big, dark, empty room. But this big, dark, empty room has a very, 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 very important thing that we are going to need to fix over the course of the game. And it is this Muse Machine. Now, the Muse Machine is missing pretty much everything right now. And to get an idea of what we are going to have to collect, we're actually going to look at a diagram on the back of the door leading into the room. I will be editing out this walk in future videos because it doesn't ever change. Yeah, looking at this diagram, we get an idea of all the pieces we need and what we'll be heading for in the future. But for right now, that's the end of this first part of 9 Last Resort, and I'll see you next time.